Alright, so my kids are gonna be home soon from boxing. I got a quiet moment, so I'm gonna cook this food and we can have a little chat. So I hope your day was good. My day is good. Today is the 3rd of January. So taking this everyday vlog thing very serious. So tonight I'm gonna be whipping up some fish. I had tilapia and flounder, but I didn't have enough of just one of them, so I'm just gonna make both. So yeah, I got on my fish, and they're making the fish like super thin now. That shrinkflation is real. So you used to get like, you know, like a nice little chunk of fish, but now it's just all thin, and you have to eat like 5 of them to get full. But I'm gonna work with it. It's gonna be good. Watch. So I was thinking I could finish up, you know, some of my chat I was giving y'all about Alzheimer's and my mom, because it really has been a journey. I've learned so much, and you know, I'm excited to share it. So okay, I think I left off that, you know, I had my very first panic attack, and it was very scary and very life-changing, and you know, it was something I could never forget, and it was also something that, you know, it woke me up to say, okay, you cannot continue to just run yourself ragged, you know, not for your mom, not for anybody, because you know, when you're gone, there's nobody to take your place. There's nobody to take your place, you know, as a mom in this family, you know, not easily replaced as a wife, not replaced as a daughter. So after that, I tried to step back a bit, but really maybe even still not as much as I should. So my mom, she continued living by herself, even, you know, after this incident. Things were still progressing, but you know, she was still hiding it a little bit well enough that, you know, I couldn't get any doctors to kind of say that it was dementia. I couldn't get them to say, you know, that she couldn't live alone. So she just continued, and I just continued running around doing things for her. But the day things changed, it was a day in April, and I remember it so clearly because it came out of nowhere, but it was almost as if God was setting me up for it. I had just a beautiful day in worship that day, even in my car, just feeling God's presence and just being like overwhelmed with God's presence and being very much full. So I get this call, and it's from my mom's phone. So I answer, you know, expecting to hear from her, but no, it was the police. And so he says, you know, hello, you know, miss, I'm officer such and such from such and such place, and I'm here with your mom. And so already I know this is not gonna be good. I don't know what it's gonna be, but I know that it's not gonna be something good. So he says, you know, I'm here with your mom. She went to a neighbor's house to call the police because she said that somebody broke into her house. And he was like, look at this fish. Look at it. That's ridiculous. How can they even sell it? But anyway, he's like, you know, she said somebody broke into her house, but we checked the house and the house was all sealed. But then he started like to just tell me like some wild stuff, like, oh, you know, she told us that she was in the shower and she heard somebody come in. He was like, but the showers are bone dry. Bone dry. Then he said that she told him that, you know, she was trying to get out the house and the bad mice were trying to get her, but the good mice helped her get out the house. So at this point, I know like, this is going astray. So I tell the cop, I said, you know, okay, I'm on my way. At this time, I told y'all the kids were young, so I packed them in the car, threw them in the car. I don't even think they had shoes on. I just put them in the car real quickly and rode over to my mom's house because the police said he was going to wait for me. So I get there, and you know, my mom is like, she's oblivious to the fact that anything is out of whack. She's just like, you know, somebody was trying to break into my house, and I'm like, you know, okay, well, why don't you come to my house? You know, it's okay. You come stay with us for a little bit. She's not having it because she's very much independent. She wants to do her own thing, and she doesn't want to be in my house, you know, with my husband and my family. Look at this, y'all. She wants to be by herself. So anyway, I told the cop, I said, look, she cannot stay in this house another day by herself. Like, it's dangerous. You know, it's not working. Of course, she's very much defiant. Nothing wrong with me. I'm not going with you. Just very aggressive. And the problem is that, like, I'm already upset because I was just living my normal Thursday life. You know what I'm saying? Like, picking my kids up from school. You know, about to go home and make dinner. But, you know, it's my mom. So I'm like, I'm stepping up. Like, no, she needs to come stay with me. You know, I'll take care of her, blah, blah, blah. And she's just like fighting me all the way. But luckily, I gotta find a lemon pepper, y'all. But luckily, the police, you know, of course, he knew that there was something wrong. And he pretty much told her, like, point blank, like, you can't stay here. Like, okay, he told me to go pack some stuff in a bag. And pretty much he just let her out the house. Like, real, like, I mean, like a boss. Like, he had the authority and he was like, you gotta go. So she listened to him, and she didn't give him very much slack at all. Like, she just kind of did what he said. And, you know, she was nice about it. She was calm about it. But when she got into the car, she was not calm about it. She refused to put her seatbelt on. She refused to sit in the chair properly. Like, anything I asked her to do, like, just straight up defiance. Now, the police officer is there, so she gets in the car, mostly just because, you know, just out of his authority. And so she gets to my house with my children. My husband's not here, and it's just causing, like, a ruckus of just being very nasty, being very mad. And, like, I'm just like, Lord, this is just too much. Like, it was just so crazy. But at the same time, like, I'd already made up my mind, like, this is happening. And so even though I was fighting with them myself, I had decided, like, she has to stay here. She cannot go back to that house. Like, what kind of person would I be if I just left her there, even for another night? So anyway, she comes, and I call my husband. Mind you, he doesn't know what's going on because I'm reacting. I'm not, like, really sitting. I'm not thinking. I'm just reacting. Like, things are like an emergency, and I'm just doing, like, the next thing that I think needs to be done. I'm not praying. I'm not talking to my husband. I'm not even really thinking. I'm just like, boom, 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 just acting. So anyway, I call my husband, and I tell him what's going on. And he doesn't really seem surprised because we've been going through this thing with my mother for a few years now. So he already knows that is a problem. Like, he already has the full rundown of everything that's been going on. So anyway, it's good to have a husband who prays. It's good to have a husband who loves the Lord, because he told me, like, okay, you know, pretty much he said, this is our house, and whatever's going on in her house, or whatever's going on in her mind, that we weren't gonna let it run our house. One, because our house is the house of the Lord, the house of the Holy Spirit, and we've dedicated our house to prayer and to the Lord. And so whatever menacing spirits, sickness, whatever you want to call it, that had been terrorizing, we made a decision that it was not going to terrorize us in our own house. And so, you know, one, there's power in agreement. And then also, you know, that God has given us authority to trample over serpents and scorpions, or any of those demons, or any of those little witchcraft spirits, or anything. So we came together and we took authority. I don't even know if the fish gonna get cooked. I'm just talking so much, and I ain't found a lemon pepper yet. Let me pause this. Okay, yes. So sorry about that break, but But in good news, I found a lemon since I didn't have any lemon pepper. But okay, so anyway, you know, we came into agreement and we decided this is our house. This is the Lord's house. This is a house of prayer. And pretty much that we weren't going to be terrorized in our own house. So the first thing my husband told me to do is like, you need to start worshiping. You need to invite the presence of the Lord into the house because he's still not here. So I turn on the worship and I start singing and I start praying and I kind of like calm down and I start running around with my head cut off and stop just doing what I'm thinking about doing and start doing the kind of what I'm being led to do. And things just started to shift. I mean, I think either she forgot about what happened or there was just like a shift in her attitude. I noticed she started playing with the kids and, you know, they're showing her things, granny this, granny that. And it turned into like a joyful moment. It was almost as if just everything in the world just shifted when I called upon and invoked the presence of the Lord in my house. You know, I think it has to do with just being in agreement with my husband. It has to do with just like setting up a godly home and setting up an altar within my home. And I didn't really have like a physical altar or a prayer closet then, but it was just that, you know, my home was an altar. Like I love the Lord. I pray in my house. I worship in my house. I dedicate my house to the Lord. I dedicate my children and my family to the Lord. And I really feel like something just shifted in the atmosphere when I start running around and doing me and really just took time to say, you know what, God, this is on you. Like I'm just gonna focus on you. I'm not gonna focus on any of the craziness. And it just really shifted something. So anyway, I gotta get some more butter. But anyway, she stayed here and she was happy. She was happy, I'd say, for a good few days, and what we were doing was working. But her mental capacity, it still wasn't right. Like it still was whatever she was telling that officer about the mice and all of that stuff, like that's still where she was. And so that's something that we had to deal with. So we tried to get her dressed, not compliant. You know, we tried to allow her to, you know, get her checked out, take her to see a doctor, you know, take her to the hospital, just completely defiant. I mean, we tried, you know how you do, convincing her. We tried not telling her, but she knew, and she was not putting her clothes on, and she was not gonna go. So then we had our second police intervention because she was in like full crisis mode. She was saying really wild stuff. She was like doing really wild stuff, and I have small children in my house, so I'm like, I'm trying to love her and take care of her, but at this point I'm like, she needs help outside of me. So this is another thing I'll tell you. You have to realize when people need help outside of you, because you're not going to have everything within you to solve all of these gigantic problems, especially health problems that people have. Like you can run yourself, but you just may not have it within you to solve their problems or even to like make them okay. You may not have that in your ability. So anyway, we got to the point where things was just getting a little wild. Things she was saying was wild. Things she was thinking was wild. Just a whole bunch of just crazy wildness. A lot of really traumatic stuff said to the kids, and just asking questions like, Mommy, why did Granny say da-da-da-da-da-da-da? So we call the police and they take her to the hospital. They don't think it's enough to like, I guess, emergency position her or make her go, because mind you, she recognizes that they're the police and she's on her very best, most awesome behavior. So anyway, they kind of talk to her and agree, and they get her to agree to go to the hospital just to, you know, make sure everything is okay and that, you know, she's all good. And I don't even remember what she said. But anyway, it started, they got her there, and it started just like a long and traumatic journey. It kind of felt like a roller coaster, because first she got to the hospital And they don't tell you this, but they don't have space for all of these people who are not right. Be it like mental illness or dementia, like brain problems. They don't have space. And we've just come to an era in life where, you know, everybody's seeking medical help, medical attention, and they didn't have any space, any place for her to go, which apparently is very, very common. So anyway, she sits in the ER for 2 weeks. Can you imagine that? Just sitting in the ER for 2 weeks. They couldn't do anything with her. And the ER is not really built to hold somebody that's experiencing like mental decline for like a long period of time. You know, they don't have people to watch them. You know, they're not equipped to do that. So she sits in the ER for 2 weeks straight. I'm not hearing anything. I'm wondering, like, where are you taking her? You know, are you getting her some help? And pretty much what they said is, especially in my state, there's nowhere to put anybody. And then my mother's elderly, so they're trying to put her into a jury psych place. And this is where your elderly people who are kind of, you know, they need some help mentally. This is where they need to be. They need to be in jury psych. So 2-3 weeks pass, and by the grace of God and lots of prayers, they find her a place, which I'm happy because, you know, I don't want her just sitting in the ER. I don't know if she's eating. I don't know if she's bathing, because, you know, the ER is not the place where you just go to live. You know what I mean? Like, ER, you go there, you stay there, maybe you stay overnight, and then you go somewhere else. It's for transit. So she goes to large university hospital, you know, where she's in the jury psych unit, and I think that things are going to be really good for her. Like, I'm very excited because, you know, I want her to be better. I want her to be stable. I want her to be with us. I want her to be home with us. You know, I want her to be okay because, you know, I've loved her. You know, I've invested in her. She's invested in me. And, you know, I just want her to be okay. But let me tell you something. The psych ward is just not an okay place. You know, like, we would go and visit her every couple days, and it's just like literally like just being surrounded by just chaos and like confusion constantly. And it was so disheartening to see her have to be there, and she didn't want to be there, and she was so upset, but then she was also so delusional. So she got there and she acted out. I'm telling you, whatever they told her to do, she was not doing it. She was not bathing, she was not eating, she was not going to do anything they said. So they called me, and we had to have this big meeting with hospital administration. And I was the main witness. I had to go up there and I had to tell them why she shouldn't come home. Now, at this point, my mom, she doesn't understand everything that's going on. But what she did understand was that I was not on her side that day. And just the level of just hurt and sadness that she had, I mean, it just hurt me so deeply. It was like I really had to put on my big girl boots or panties or whatever they say. And I had to give her tough love. I had to give her what she needed in spite of what she wanted, you know, what she was telling me, what she was showing me. You know, like I had to let go of that mother-daughter relationship role, and I had to put on my own like adult and mother had to say, what is it that's right for her? So it was one of the saddest times in my life. I had to tell them about all the delusions, all the crazy stuff she had said, all the crazy stuff she had did. And they decided that they were going to keep her involuntarily. Like, she had to stay. She had to stay. She had to get treatments, which means like when they forced you to get shots, she had to get all of that. And it was so hurtful. But I was just so prayerful that it would lead to somewhere good. So, y'all, she ended up staying there for 3 months. 3 months, I'm going back and forth to the psych ward. And I'm like 8-9 months pregnant now. And I just keep going there. And in that situation, I really found out the power of God to just like silence just like all types of craziness, all types of delusions, all types of just demonic activity. You know, I had to go in there prayed up. And even when I went in there prayed up, like just the level of crazy that I was seeing and that my mother was showing me, she would tell me stuff like, your baby's going to die. And, you know, your baby's not going to walk. You know, he's going to be crippled. Like just all types of like delusional, demonic stuff. And at first, like, you know, we was in this cycle where, you know, she would start up and I would get all upset and I would leave, blah, 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 blah. But then one day I was like, I'm not doing this again. I'm not doing this. And I just was like, Lord, I'm going to take authority. So one, during all our visits, I started playing my worship music. And two, I started praying in tongues. So whenever she would start on her, you know, crazy, because she's dealing with dementia type state now. There's an attack of dementia now. There's like full blown. And so whenever she would start attacking me, or Alzheimer's would start attacking me, or that demonic spirit, that nasty, dirty spirit would start attacking me, I would start praying in tongues. So now, like, you know, before I'd be upset, but now I'm just like, I'm taking control of that thing. I'm taking authority. And I remember it so clearly. My mother, she was talking like all this rants, and I started praying in tongues, and she sat there and she put her head like this. And I don't know if it was like in that moment that spirit was just shut down and silenced, all those spirits in the background, all those spirits living in a cycle, but she just put her head down like this. And she said, you can stop praying at me, which I thought was an odd way to say something like that. Like, not you can stop praying, you can stop praying at me. You know, I'm sure that was like some sort of demonic manifestation, but I didn't stop praying. I kept praying, and it was like a peace just came over her. It was almost as like she had forgot all that craziness she was doing and saying. It was just like the peace of the Lord just penetrated that room. It just penetrated her. It penetrated me. And it really just showed me, like, for God, like, he's in control, like, of all of it, of all the craziness that we see, all the craziness that we deal with. When we really tap in and when we really take authority, you know, just through worship, through prayer, through invoking his spirit, through like really inviting God to show up. Like, it was just a complete shift in the atmosphere. Everything that was there, everything that was wrong, everything that was crazy, it all just left. So I think I'm gonna end here. I said it's a series, and it's too much to say in one video. I mean, it's 10 years of life experiences. But to recap, I just wanted to let you know, if you're dealing with somebody with mental instability, be it dementia or like schizophrenia or whatever, I would just say, make sure that you are invoking the presence of God in your house. Make sure you have worship on 24/7. Make sure you're praying in tongues. My babies are here. Perfect timing. But just make sure you're really taking authority. You know, if your house is a house of the most living God, don't let those spirits come in there and rule it and run rapid. I pray that you would be encouraged. I pray that you would make it through this season, that you will be hopeful that a new season is coming, that trouble doesn't last always, and that God will back you when you really step out there in faith and step out there on the word of God. I love you. I will talk to you soon. Good night.